Okay, so now we're on day 2 of solving linear equations in one variable. And again, as always, we're going to start off with our objectives. By the end of this, you should be able to solve linear equations requiring multiple steps, as well as solve an equation requiring multiple steps and explaining in words what's occurring at each step. And then finally, apply your knowledge of solving linear equations to a real-world scenario. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about, we're going to build on day 1. Steps are the same before, except you're going to perform order of operations on one or both sides of the equation. Don't forget that GEMS or PEMDAS, however you want to look at it. G is grouping symbols first, usually parentheses. Okay, that's where the P in PEMDAS comes from. E is exponent second. M, now this is where we kind of put these two together because they're done at the same time, multiplication and division. You do this in order from left to right if both are present, immediately after one another. So you won't always do multiplication first. Sometimes, like if I had 8 divided by 4 times 2, I wouldn't do 4 times 2 first. I'd do 8 divided by 4 first because I have both and I work left to right. And then the same thing with subtraction and addition. Okay? So just keep that in the back of your mind. Let's get right to the examples. We got example 1, solve the following equation. So now this one's hard, maybe not hard, but it might be a little bit more confusing because I have a fraction here. So we're going to do negative 10 equals 8 minus 1/2 x. I'm going to still draw my line down. Now, let's start off. We only have a variable on one side, so I'm going to go ahead and subtract 8 from both sides. This is going to give me negative 18. I highly recommend using calculator here, okay, unless you're really, really good at it, but use a calculator. All right, which leaves us with negative 1/2 x equals negative 18. Now, there's two different ways to do this. You could say, well, this is the same thing as this, and take that approach. You could make negative 1/2 x into negative x over 2. And you could say, all right, well, this is technically division, so the opposite of that would be multiplication. And I'm going to take that negative sign with me because I want to get rid of that. I need this x to be positive. So negative 2, and that's times negative 18, not minus, which is going to give me a 36 for an answer. So I would get x equals 36 for my answer. Okay. The other approach you can take, if you have, let's say you had the negative 1/2 x equals negative 18. You can say, well, I'm going to multiply. This is my coefficient of x. When it's a fraction, I multiply by the reciprocal, which all you do is you take and you multiply and you flip the numerator and the denominator. So negative 2 over 1, okay, which will cancel out everything, and same thing. You would still end up with the same thing over here. And then finally, the last thing you can do, I'm just showing you multiple ways so that you know how, is you can say, well, I got this negative 1/2. First, I'm going to multiply by the denominator, the bottom number, you multiply. Okay, that'll take care of that, which would give me negative 36 equals negative 1x. And then I would divide by negative 1, so then you would divide by the numerator. Cancel that out, and cancel the negative sign out, and it'd still give you that. So there's lots of different choices. This one's going to take a little bit of practice, so if you need extra practice, you let me know, okay? Okay, so we're going to go ahead and now we have to solve and explain how to solve this equation. So all you're going to do is you're basically going to write out every step on the left side and then explain what you're doing on the right. So like for the first one, I'm going to go ahead and say we would have to use the distributive property here, which would give us 3x plus 2 times x would be 2x, 2 times negative 5 would be negative 10, and that would equal 45. And we would just say distributive property. Okay? Next, we would combine our like terms, which would give us 5x minus 10 equals 45, and we could just put combine like terms. Okay, next we would go ahead and add 10 to both sides, which would give us 5x equals 55. And the reason for that, add 10 to both sides. So we're telling what we're doing, add 10 to both sides. And then finally, we'd be dividing both sides by 5, which would give us our answer of x equals 11. So reason, divide both sides by 5. And that's all there is to that one. So you're basically just going through and solving it, and all you're doing is each step you're telling me what you're doing. So here, each of those 4 steps you tell me what you're doing. Okay? It's as easy as that. And then the final example. We've got 2 buildings that have the same total height. Okay, so we're going to call this building A. We're going to call this building B. This will be building A. One of the building is A. The other building is B. So if I were to write an expression for building, it has 6 floors, each with height h. So if I wanted to find the height of building A, it'd be 6 floors times height h. Building B has a ground floor of 36 feet plus 3 other floors with a height h. So I can write that equation nice and simple. 6h equals 36 plus 3h. And I set them equal to one another because the 2 buildings have the same total height. So we have to write and solve an equation to find the height h of each floor. Here's our equation right here. We wrote the equation. We're good. Now we need to solve it. So we go through and we go through our steps to solve. Subtract 3h from both sides, which will give us 3h equals 36. Then we're going to divide both sides by 3, which will give us a height of 12. H equals 12. So our height is 12 feet. H equals 12 feet. Did we answer the question? We wanted to find the height h of each floor. And that's what we did, and we're good. And that's all there is to it. Sorry this part got cut off. I edited it in. Everything should be good now. And we're good. If you have any questions, do not be afraid to ask in class. All right, take it easy, guys. Bye-bye.